Hello, I am Cher, and I'm a musician who has two small, actually tiny, businesses to support me. I have bought and sold used and rare books for many, many years, and recently I've been selling handmade items. I'm doing this because I'm not sure I can continue to support myself with the books forever. The business has changed, book acquisitions have changed, and I've changed. I'm not as young as I used to be. Go figure. I have friends who help me with the book hauling and book carrying out of the kindness of their hearts. But I don't know how sustainable it is to keep relying on them. My dog is here. I love my friends, but I like to be self-sufficient. Hey, get up here. Come on. Okay, sit there. Whatever. I like to be self-sufficient. So I looked around at things I could do, and since I'm quite fond of sewing, I like making clothes for myself, but I'm no good at fitting. If things turn out and fit well, it's an accident. So I started making bags, tote bags, project bags, makeup bags, come on, tiny bags, etc., etc. I branched out into other things I'm interested in, junk journal types of things, and a bit of jewelry making. I started about 3 years ago. Well, I thought about it and started exploring products way before that. I even set up at a couple craft fairs, but although I got tons of compliments, I didn't make much money, so I stopped and researched other ways to go about it. I don't have lots of money. I'm a musician, and I'm self-employed because it suits my personality, and I can change my schedule around to accommodate music things. I used to have an open bookstore with employees and all the overhead and the headaches. Parts of it were amazing. My ex-husband and I then retired, and we moved to the tropics. And things were hunky-dory for a while, till we kind of grew apart and decided to move our lives in different directions. I moved back to Ohio. I really, truly missed having 4 seasons, plus family, of course. And I decided to start selling books again, but only mail order. And eventually the handmade business. I enjoy both. The book business is supporting the new business at this point, and I don't have tons of extra cash, so I'm very cautious about spending anything. I don't want to risk anything I can't afford to lose. My bills are paid. I don't care so much about money as long as my bills are paid and I don't have unmanageable debt, which helps everything enormously. I learned that lesson the hard way too. When we being my friend Colin and I, decided to do outdoor markets, I made a list of everything I thought I would need. I scrimped wherever I could. I bought ancient folding tables from a longtime antique dealer's estate, and they work just fine. They don't look like much. They're kind of pathetic until you get the tablecloths on. They're kind of an odd size, though. We used 2 milk crates and a board to create a shelf for our booth. So we've got those different levels. We bought a canopy, that's new. And we bought 2 grid wall units, those are also new. And the grid walls have been great. Other than the fact that the screws keep wanting to fall out and we have to keep tightening them all the time. I used odd bits of fabric from my enormous fabric stash as table coverings. I have a really cool hunk of corduroy that has a Parisian waiter with his platter held high. It's bright red with black and white. It's really cool looking. It was really eye-catching, but I only had the one piece, and the table covering was so busy, it actually detracted from the products. So I've been trying out other stuff to replace it with. I had a white linen tablecloth with some stains on it, a white cotton sheet, which was also stained, not horribly, not what you're thinking, just little brown spots, and a hunk of what looks like white curtain fabric. So I rigged up those and had, well, respectable looking tables. Not what I dream of, but it would do. Last year was our first year of setting up at markets, and we did okay, but not great. We decided to cut it down a bit this year. Yeah, let's say how that's working out. Our first two markets this year went like gangbusters. We had people coming up to tell us how much they liked things they bought from us last year, which was a great ego boost. We sold more, way more than last year. Just lucky? I don't know. I think the early shows do better than the later ones, but what do I know? I think every time you set up, you have to be prepared to sit there and sell nothing. But so far, so good until last Saturday. The weather prediction was not great. Thunderstorms, so they were iffy on exactly when. So, it could have been later. The sun was shining early, and we had tons of people for the first hour, and I kept hoping it would just stay like that. But did it? No. It started to rain just softly, which was cool because you could hear it on the tent. I had set up so everything was under the canopy because, I'm not stupid. It said thunderstorms. I was alone. Colin was sick. I pulled things back on the table so they were farther away from the edge. I rolled the grid walls around behind into the middle where I sit. So they were fine. The rain was coming pretty much straight down, so that was good. But it gradually got heavier and heavier, and I discovered that nearly everyone else at the market has the kind of tent with sidewalls, at least 3 sidewalls. Some had 4 and had them all sealed up tight. I bet that was warm and humid. Well, I had one sidewall, and I didn't even have it up because I'd forgotten all about it. It was somewhere in a box. After a good long time sitting there trapped in my little dry area, but hey, the tent didn't leak. That's a positive. Maybe an hour, I don't know. The organizer came around said to pack it up. They were canceling. I didn't even know how to pack up in the rain. I watched all the other vendors. Yeah. So now I know the method. You pack everything up under the tent. Then you go get your car and park as close as you can to the tent and shovel everything in as fast as you can. Then you take the tent down and load that in. So I started packing. I noticed a couple things were a little wet, damp, not soaking, as I was packing. So the next day, which was sunny, I got everything out and I hung stuff up to dry, but there weren't that many that needed it. However, my make-do tablecloths were long enough to hit the ground and they were soaked, and the water had crept up the sides. Not all my boxes are plastic, and I got to watch as the pouring rain came streaming across my space underfoot to get to the gutters on the side of the street, because the street's higher in the middle and lower down on the side. They're not actually gutters, but it is a low spot. Yeah, so everything had to either be plastic or up off the pavement, but I figured that out a little too late on one cardboard box that holds all my supplies, like masking tape, bungee cords, clamps, scissors, stuff like that. Yeah, and it was like a extra super strong banker box. Anyways, oops. I will never set up again at a street fair without picturing all that rain rushing under my booth and that my tablecloth should not hit the ground, and the importance of sidewalls. Someone on Reddit suggested using cheap shower curtains and hooks, like Dollar Tree, for makeshift sidewalls. It wouldn't be perfect, but it would have been better than me sitting there with all the sides open. Thank goodness there was no wind. It could have been so much worse. The organizers helped everyone take down their tents and load up their cars, which was fabulous. They were soaked. I was soaked. And I only did my own. So I can just imagine how they must have been loading up car after car. It just poured the whole time. When I got home, I drove home. My glasses all steamed up. I'm soaked. My hair is wet. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have far to go. It's like 6 blocks. And I was just hoping. My one windshield wiper is kind of, it's not broken, but part of it's loose, so it drags a little tail behind it. Yeah. Anyways, when I got home, my clothes were so wet. I changed into dry stuff and I hung the wet things up to dry. They were soggy. So I now have a little list. I have a little list. Of booth improvement things that have to be done. And number one on it is to acquire new tablecloths that are appropriately sized. It was something that I didn't think was important except in an aesthetic way. But, oops. Oh my gosh. While it was raining and I saw the state of my tablecloths, I didn't know how I would reopen the booth if the sun came back out. I mean, it just all the way up and a little bit over onto the table. Yeah. During the 1 hour, maybe it was an hour and a half, I'm not sure, that the sun was shining and we were open for business, things were going great. People were positive and complimentary and looking at stuff and picking it up and saying, wow, and yeah. You never do believe them when they say they'll come back to buy something. Sometimes they do, but hardly ever. But I'd started making sales, and it seemed like things were going to go well. Until it abruptly ended. And in the end, I made a whopping profit of $18. Guess it could have been worse. Last year, we set up in some near 100-degree heat days a couple times. I mean, we had a hot summer. Crowds were really sparse then, but we were lucky enough to never have had rain. You could tell all the experienced vendors, they knew what they were doing. They had a rain plan. I didn't. I need to be prepared. It may never happen again. If I had wood, I'd knock on it. But I need to be ready for it when it does. I don't think I'll need to spend tons of money on this, but there goes my $18. But I guess that every time you set up, you need to assume it could storm and be ready for it. Outdoor markets have been way better for me than craft fairs. I mean, yeah, you need more stuff and you're out in the elements, but I've sold way better than I used to when I set up at craft fairs. Anyhow, I guess you just have to take whatever comes and celebrate the good times when you have them and deal with the other ones as best you can, which is pretty much how we have to deal with life as a whole, isn't it? Well, anyways, until next time. I will now try to sing you a song. When I practiced it, I had trouble hitting the high notes. So, good luck, ears. This is called Primitive. And we wrote it about a guy who played bass in our band. Some people are born with nothing. Some people have to work their way down. I was one of the lucky ones. I was born underground. They don't have nothing to give us, so they give us a bunch of lies. And they wonder why we're not happy, and they wonder why we don't thrive. So they learn not to give a damn, and we learn not to give a damn. And they learn to condemn, we just learn to hate them. Yeah, 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 yeah. Every day we rise from the ashes. Every day we sell our souls. Every day we renew our passion. Every corner has its own. Starting over again. Starting over again. Do you want me to cry for what? Cry for what I don't have. Don't give me help for the way I live. We all have ways to deal with our pain. Why not perhaps more primitive? Yeah, yeah, yeah. We all crush whatever gets in our way. A rich man does it with more finesse. We all walk on bones of those that we've cheated. We all go to bed with our goals. So they learn not to give a damn, and we learn not to give a damn. And they learn to condemn, we just learn to hate them. Yeah, 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 yeah. Every day we rise from the ashes. Every day we sell our souls. Every day we renew our passion. Every corner has its own. Start it over again. Start it over again. Thank you.